Secretary Moni Menes, Undersecretary Rafael Seguis, Ambassador Joey Quisha, Ambassador Leslie Gatan, delegates of the 7th Ambassadors, Consuls, Generals, and Tourism Directors Tour, Filipino-American young leaders, the sector I belong to, fellow workers in government, honored guests. Mga minamahal ko pong kababayan, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. I am always happy to welcome visitors like you to the Philippines. For those of you who haven't been here for a while, you will probably look around and ask yourself, what has changed since the last time I was here? You will notice that your neighborhoods might look different and that your childhood friends look just a touch bit older. But I hope you have noticed that our country has grown up as well in many respects. For the past 2 years, the only sirens that blare on our roads have belonged to ambulances and fire trucks, not to the cars of public officials blatantly breaking traffic rules. Wise spending has allowed us to help our countrymen more by improving and strengthening healthcare, education, and social services. Philippine economic growth at 6.4% in the first quarter has surpassed the expectations of most, if not all, analysts, except ours. More importantly, this growth has been felt broadly through the economy and not just by a select few. For example, and we will use a private polling agency, according to the SWS, or Social Weather Station Social Weather Report, for the second quarter of 2012, the Philippines' unemployment rate went down to 26.6% in May, or the equivalent of 10.9 million adults unemployed. And this is significantly lower than the 34.4% unemployment rate in March, or 13.8 million unemployed. Of course, it's a private entity. The government figures are much better. In addition to that, self-rated hunger for the whole country from the same survey went down to 18.4% in May compared to 23.8% in March. Our efforts to boost our economy by spending on infrastructure and other key sectors are matched by our spending on social services to the tune of 567.9 billion pesos, or around 31% of our entire budget for this year. We are indeed making sure that no one is left behind, and we will be hard at work over the next few years to accomplish this goal. I am very pleased to share that the good news doesn't stop there. It has been a year since I last spoke to many of you about the unfulfilled potential of the Philippines as a tourist destination. For so long, the tourism sector has been badly neglected. We were only seeing around 3 million tourist arrivals a year when our neighbors were receiving millions more. How much more? Thailand does 14, Malaysia does 22 million a year. Last year, I shared with you our commitment to boosting the growth of the tourism sector, and I believe I owe you a progress report of what we have done so far. For starters, our Pocket Open Skies policy has already generated almost a 15% increase in incoming and outgoing flights to the Philippines from January to June of this year. This has led to a similar increase in inbound and outbound passenger traffic growth for both international and domestic travelers. We have also put a lot of work towards improving our infrastructure in support of tourism, including airports and seaports. Our Department of Public Works and Highways has allocated 9.4 billion pesos in 2011 and 2012 to construct, rehabilitate, and improve roads leading to all of our tourist destinations. Their efforts are complemented by those of our Department of Transportation and Communications, which focused our attention on upgrading primary and secondary airports, as well as enhancing our air traffic control systems. So in a few years, we should all be able to take advantage of the new Bohol Airport in Panglao, the new Legazpi Airport in Daraga, and the Laguindingan Airport in Misamis Oriental, all of which should be up and running by the time I'm a private citizen and allowed to travel across the country. Not to mention the upgrading of the Mactan Cebu International Airport, the Puerto Princesa Airport, and quite a whole lot of others. You might also remember that last year I spoke to you about the Puerto Princesa Underground River. At that time, I was only asking for your support to bring one of our national treasures to the attention of the world, and your support has paid off. Just last April, through the efforts of many Filipinos, the Puerto Princesa Underground River was inaugurated as one of the new 7 wonders of nature. Many of you Many of you had something to do with this, and I want to thank you all for your support. Our achievements in this sector are real and tangible. Just to give you an idea, in the first 5 months of 2012 alone, we welcomed over 1.8 million tourists. This number is more than half of the yearly average of 3 million arrivals in the year before we took office. This number is also 39.6% of the 4.6 million tourist arrivals we hope to get this year. And historically, we get even more visitors in the second half of the year. If all goes as planned, it seems that we will achieve and maybe even breach this target. The success we have experienced so far is no miracle. It is a success born out of the hard work and dedication, the convergence of public and private sector efforts, and the implementation of measures that make the most of what we have to offer. We didn't reinvent the wheel here. We just relied on a simple strategy to make it easier and more fun for tourists to come to the Philippines. We want prospective visitors to be able to choose from airlines that can fly them to different areas in the Philippines because of our liberalized aviation policy. We want these same visitors to encounter world-class facilities and infrastructure on their trips. From the time they step into our airports to the time they spend on the road traveling to different natural, cultural, and historical landmarks, to their arrival at destinations like the Puerto Princesa Underground River. We need only to match the excellent hospitality of the Filipino people with the same level of infrastructure and facilities. And it is precisely because of the Filipino people that we are working so hard to develop this sector. Tourism is one of the sectors we are paying particular attention to because it is one in which we can successfully pursue our agenda of inclusive growth, given the multiplier effect on jobs and the amount of money it brings into our country. For example, in 2011, foreign tourist receipts amounted to almost $3 billion. $3 billion that went to the family-run bed and breakfast that housed them, to the drivers of their buses and vans, to the owners of souvenir shops, and to many other Filipinos who in one way or another cater to tourists. This is where I would once again like to ask for your help. Our Department of Tourism has already done much through its new campaign of It's More Fun in the Philippines, which has been launched in different countries. In fact, your tour has adopted this as its theme. And I can think of no better group to travel under the DOT's campaign than yours. I have always believed that each Filipino is an ambassador of his country, and perhaps this is true especially for many of you gathered here today. You may have built new lives and found your places in new communities, but you also continue to maintain strong ties to the motherland. You're the ones who have seen and experienced our fiestas and festivals firsthand. You know how warm and accommodating our people are, and you know exactly what the Philippines has to offer. At the end of the day, it is you that your friends and family in the United States, Canada, and Guam will believe when you tell them it's more fun in the Philippines. As the tour takes you to different places, I hope that you take plenty of pictures so that you can all share, all that you see and experience. So whether through social media or good old-fashioned kwentuhan, you can share with others the beautiful beaches of Palawan and Cebu, the historic ruins of Corregidor and Intramuros, and the friendly manongs and manangs who gave you assistance along the way. In this way, inspiring even more people to come and see the Philippines. And before I end my speech, can I just take this opportunity to apprise you of the developments in our country? One of the infrastructure projects that I'm really very excited to inaugurate, and this will happen perhaps at the latest by 2015, is a connector for the North Luzon and South Luzon Expressway. Once established, and we will not have one, we will have actually two, and these are all private efforts. Once that is done, the travel time from Clark in Pampanga to Calamba in Laguna will be reduced to about 1 hour and 15 minutes. There is a proposal also for a new nautical highway that will bring down travel time from Luzon to Mindanao using the nautical highway from the current 3 days to 15 hours. We expect to be self-sufficient in rice by next year, if not be an exporter of rice by next year. We also inherited a classroom shortage of 66,000 classrooms, which we expect to complete, finishing the backlog by next year, at the latest by December, hopefully by June, to include the 64,000 teachers that will teach in these classrooms. So, these indeed are very exciting times for the country, made possible by the people's support, and with your continued support, we will reach our goals sooner rather than later. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the tour.